Hey beautifuls. So I've been spending like about the last 5 to 10 minutes trying to find the right lighting, which is kind of ironic considering I did a Facebook video yesterday on letting go of the need to get things perfect. And also someone told me that I shouldn't wear sunglasses in my live streams, but this is what I'm doing because I'm doing it, and that's just the way it is. Because there's shadowing over my eyes, so it actually looks kind of funny. But again, it kind of ties in my message is letting go of the need to get things perfect and the lighting to be right, all this kind of stuff, and still calling myself on it. So that's not why I came on today, but I was actually riding, I was having a coffee, and I was walking around. There's like everyone's walking into the city, there's people in suits, going to their jobs, waiting in line for coffee, and this is just so far out of my reality. But it just took me back to when I worked in corporate a number of years ago now, and I had the same kind of energy of like going to work, coming home, work, being in my masculine, so disconnected from my femininity without realizing that this was like a thing, that masculine or feminine was a thing. And it just kind of took me back into that world of, and I had a lot of gratitude as well. I had a lot of gratitude for that. I was having my coffee, I was sitting down, I was reading my book, I was journaling, I was writing out my gratitudes. I'd already been up since 5:45, meditating and just watching everyone go to work. And I was like, came to this gratitude of like, I actually don't have to do that. Like I don't go into an office, and I get to come home and do my own thing and work my own hours, and so but what I was starting to write about was what I've come to learn in studying when I really got into researching understanding men and women and the differences, is that men have, it's around 17 times more testosterone than women, right? So it's really natural for a man to be in masculine energy, because what fuels masculine energy is testosterone, right? So for a man to be driven and focused and single focused every day and getting shit done and doing, like, he's got the testosterone to do that. Like, his body is literally built to do that, right? But a woman does not have that level of testosterone. She just doesn't have it. Like, it's just that the body is not built that way. So where a woman's testosterone comes from is her adrenals and her ovaries, right? So when a woman is in her masculine energy all the time, doing and trying to achieve and trying to get shit done and like trying to be single focused and doing all that stuff, she's literally having to pull this testosterone from the adrenals and the ovaries. And over a long period of time, what happens is that a woman will end up with adrenal fatigue, and she'll end up with ovaries issues and even fertility issues. So for me, I got diagnosed with polycystic ovaries about 3 years ago now. And I've been in my masculine energy literally for 10 years. Working in corporate, running my own business, being in relationships where I emasculated men because I didn't feel safe, being in abusive relationships which put me more in masculine because I didn't feel safe to be feminine, I didn't feel safe to be a woman. And so literally my body my energy was now going into masculine because it's all I knew, and it was like safe because I got to control everything instead of actually being in more of a surrendered space of the feminine. So this is why it's actually important, not just in the way we relate to people, the whole concept of masculine and feminine way, particularly how we relate to men. It's important for our health, right? This is why so many women are having fertility issues. One of the reasons is because they've literally, the way they're showing up is actually depleting their energy, depleting being more trying to build more testosterone, depleting estrogen. So, and also I'm not like a medical, I'm not a doctor or anything, but I've spoken to my naturopath about this, and she's confirmed a lot of this as well. And it's super fascinating once you delve into how I've been studying how masculine and feminine energy affects our hormones and how that actually plays out between men and women, particularly when a man's producing more estrogen and a woman's producing more testosterone. It's super, super fascinating. And a lot of my clients, the men that have erectile dysfunction, are producing more estrogen and not producing enough testosterone, and this is why they're not actually being able to get hard properly or going in and out of hardness, is because they literally are not producing the testosterone. A lot of this has been to do with the way they've been emasculated and have been now in more of a feminine energy. And this is, I could go into this, but it's to do with the way society emasculates, the way they emasculate themselves, the way their partners emasculate them, and it's quite unconscious. So you can see like what happens if you have a woman going into this masculine energy, this doing, because the reason why that is that women will adapt to what's perceived to be of value, because at an instinctual level, this is what they do to survive. So at an instinct level, they will go into that, because in this world, in this society, what perceived to be of value is the masculine energy. That's what's perceived to be more of value, whereas the feminine is not perceived to be, I'm really clear on that, perceived to be as of value, although we're all, and I'm not talking about man or woman, I'm talking about masculine and feminine energy here. All is of the same value, right? But so that I could really go so much deeper into this. I talk about this a lot in my book, not so much around the hormones, but understanding how masculine and feminine energy plays out and polarizes, and how it's connected to sexual chemistry and polarity and rune mates and soulmates and all this kind of stuff. So so that's just a little insight into understanding like why it's important that we actually why it's important that we actually do have to look at where our masculine and feminine energy is in a healthy balance. And it's actually not, what I want to make clear here is it's not about women having to be more feminine or work on their feminine. It's about shifting their masculine and feminine energy into a healthy space, right? Both. Because you have to, if you want to be more feminine, you have to shift your masculine energy to hold you and feel safe, so that you feel safe to be feminine, right? So a lot of the work that I do with women is actually around their masculine. Like they'll come and be like, oh, I want to be more feminine. I'll be like, okay, let's work on your masculine. Because if you're not working on your masculine he's not going to be able to hold you. He's not going to be able to hold you, make you feel safe enough to be feminine. And what I see a lot is happening, particularly in like spiritual circles, is that women are trying to be more feminine, but their masculine is like a teenage boy who cannot even support her to be a queen, right? So it's about evolving and maturing our own masculine energy. And one of the pathways to that I take women through is healing their relationship with men, because who they're really angry at is themselves, really, their own inner man for abandoning them, right? So because a lot of women will get into relationships and completely abandon themselves and lose themselves and give their power away, and who they're really angry at is not the man. They're angry at themselves for not leaving when they should have, for enabling the behavior, for not having healthy boundaries. And these are all the sort of things that I work on, right? So I hope that makes sense. And so once you evolve your inner man, you feel safe enough to be feminine, and then you just start showing up naturally that way without necessarily having to do so much work to be feminine, because that goes against to do the work to be feminine. It doesn't make any sense, because the feminine is not about doing work. Like, it doesn't make sense, right? You don't have to work to be feminine. You are feminine. You just are. And it's more like an embodiment. So one of the things that I've done is like going to Dancing Eros, right? Which is about the feminine archetype. So it's about, that's different, like definitely like a going in and being embodied, right? And working like with what's already there and accessing these different parts, right? And I've very much gone into something like this with my inner man in check, right? And like bringing him forward and calling on him to hold me in these spaces, so that I can really dive deep and access these feminine parts of myself. Anyway, I kind of got a bit distracted with where I was going with that, but that's just how I am. And that, again, this is a feminine thing. So I want to give you a permission piece here, ladies. Your brain is actually wired to get distracted by shiny objects. Your brain is wired to potter around and not get shit done. And you need to give yourself permission to do that, because when you're pottering around, like I was doing with the cleaning yesterday and taking forever to do it, this is me giving myself permission to be feminine, right? Without having to look a certain way, because this is the way your brain is wired, is to just flit around and potter around and not get shit done. So this is the feminine in being feminine, right? So when you're fucking around, when you're pottering around, when you're not getting shit done, please give yourself permission to do that, because this is you being feminine, right? So as soon as you make yourself wrong or shame yourself, you're basically wronging your feminine and shaming your feminine. So just give yourself permission to not get shit done. Like, really, give yourself permission. And then know when the time is when it's time. Okay, now I need to focus on something, and I'm going to set this time, and I'm going to put it in some sort of framework and system so that works for me, right? Because you don't want to be pottering around all the time. Because this is where the balance comes in, right? You have your masculine that kind of sets up it's like in the mornings, set up your day. Like this morning, I've set up my day, and I've done my journaling and my gratitudes, and I've planned out my day. I've written out my to-do list. So now I've got this masculine structure for my day. What that allows me to do is then flow for the rest of the day, and between the masculine and feminine, between getting shit done, between being in flow. Sometimes I'll have breaks where I'll put on some music and I'll dance around the apartment. So I'm going in and out of these energies, and knowing when I'm needing to be in each one, right? Okay, I think that's it for now. That's a bit longer than I thought I was going to do, but also that's what the feminine does. She doesn't stick to rules and plans and things. She's like, well, you know what, I'm going to show up, and however I show up, and I'm going to express myself without putting myself on a time limit, because as soon as you put the feminine on a time limit, she has to become masculine, because she's now thinking, I've got to get this done by a certain time, which is masculine, right? So the feminine, no time limit. You've got a time limit, no time limit. Okay, all right, I'm going now. Have an awesome day. I hope you got some value out of this. I would love to know if you got something, even just one little tip that you can take away with you. Yeah. Okay, all right. Have an epic day. I've already said that, but okay, I'm really going now. Bye.